What is going on, everybody? It's KB. Before the episode starts, make sure you go check out StreamerSZN's brand new theme music. That's right. We have full-time, brand new theme music thanks to the newest homie and newest member of the music side of Underground Sports Philadelphia homies. That is Mobley. Stay Volk. His new single is out now. It is linked in the description on YouTube, and you'll be hearing it on audio until we can figure out if we can play it on video on StreamerSZN episodes from here on out. That's our new theme music. Stay Volk. Go download it now wherever you get your music, and go check out the music video on YouTube. But now, let's get into the episode of StreamerSZN.
Philadelphia, baby, you're gonna love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
And we're back. What is going on, fellow streamers? Welcome into another edition of StreamerSZN, the exclusive streaming platform, TV and movie podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. It's KB and Christian coming at you. Got more Sympathizer to talk about, more XMen 97 to talk about, and a whole lot of news and notes to dive into. But before we get into all of that, make sure you guys are following us on the socials at StreamerSZN on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads, and StreamerSZN Pod on TikTok. You can follow Christian on Twitter at @thewiz_PHI. Follow me at KBIZZL311. You can also connect with Underground Sports Philadelphia on LinkedIn. And Christian, we've had some very notable Philadelphia media celebrities in the past 24-ish hours connect with us.
Elliot Shore Parks.
Whoa. We're going to take a quick 20. We'll be right back. We stand with D-Jack. No, but Anthony Gargano has connected with your boy, the Cuz Bo, and Jamie Apodi has followed Underground Sports Philadelphia on LinkedIn.
Hey.
Shout out to Jamie. Check us out on LinkedIn. Subscribe to the podcast feed on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts in audio form. But those two in particular, because that's where we get our direct analytics to see how we're growing and charting and everything like that. Apple, Spotify, just search StreamerSZN or search Underground Sports Philadelphia and check out our entire catalog of podcasts available to you in audio form. And subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. That is where you get full video episodes of this show every week, full video episodes of every show on our network, clips, shorts, live streams, original video content. It's all on our YouTube channel, where it's 788 subscribers as of this recording. Let's get to 800. Let's get to 900. And of course, let's get to 1,000. And then we can start plaque chasing and get to that big old 100K. So subscribe to the YouTube channel, smash that like button, ring the bell icon, leave a comment down below. And of course, get your merch from our awesome merch partners at PHI Apparel Company. You want to stand out when you're going to the movie theater. Maybe you're Netflix and chilling, or maybe you're just hanging out at home and watching your favorite shows, your favorite movies. And you want to be comfortable. You want to look your best. You want to style, profile, and stand out in the crowd. PHI Apparel Company is the place to do that, to get your exclusive StreamerSZN merch, t-shirts, hoodies, all available for you. Go to phiapparel.co, and when you go to checkout, use code underground for 10% off your merch order. Most effective and direct way to support everything we're doing here at Underground Sports Philadelphia and StreamerSZN. Maybe we can bust Dylan out of the drywall hole that's in his new house. If we get some merch, put some merch over that drywall hole. phiapparel.co, get your StreamerSZN merch, and use code underground for 10% off your order. Christian, the Sympathizer is back on the docket. How are we feeling after this episode?
We are excited. There we go. It's working. Okay, yeah. We are excited because So I think we have to break this down in the sense of Director Park directed the first three. I'm already forgetting his name, directed the fourth one, and now we're on the third director who's directing the last three.
Fernando Meirelles was episode 4, and then Mark Munden is this one till the end.
So there'll be a few things I want to talk about during this. I find that this one set our forward motion, also heightening the whole spy part of everything, where we're now in a full cat and mouse game now in the present time, and we're hurtling towards the future time in terms of him being back in Vietnam, because it's clear how he's going to end up there at this point.
My only concern is that it took us to this episode to get there. Now we have 2 episodes left to hurdle us towards there.
I would counter that by saying that I feel like that concern is driven from the non-linear nature of this, and how all the jumping back forward and back in time and all that. Because as I said at the start of this is something we can't grade during the time, because there's going to be so much time jumping back and forth, because like aside from the last episode, which was pretty much just a straightforward thing, this episode was much more in the lineage of what Director Park was doing in terms of time jumping and other things that I'll talk about later. So I trust that the resolution was going to be good. I'm fine with it taking this long, because we've worked our way here because because we had to establish all of the players in this story, because it has to reach a crescendo. Because you know what, let's talk through the go ahead and break down the story, and I'll explain my thought further.
So after the airstrike on set, the captain is taken to a hospital where he reminisces over his childhood with Bon and Mon, and later he is visited by studio representatives to offer compensation for the injuries, but the captain demands an apology from Nikos, played by Robert Downey Jr., and $30,000. After Claude, played by Robert Downey Jr., gets him released, the captain gives the money away to On's family, but his wife surprisingly decides to donate the money to open a restaurant, and also shares her suspicions that he was assassinated by Vietnamese forces. Rumors are starting to circulate around the neighborhood that the general is working on a secret operation to take Vietnam back, which the general admits to the captain. He visits Sophia, played by Sandra Oh, who is now revealed to be in a relationship with journalist Sonny Tran, played by Alan Trong. Per a suggestion by Claude, the captain visits an Asian performance show where Lana works as a cabaret singer. Captain visits Nikos at his mansion, and Nikos opens up about the art of editing in his film as the reason why he's omitting some of the lines that the captain suggested during filming. The captain begins to imagine conversations with Mon, questioning if he even exists in the first place. Later, the captain accompanies the general to an unknown destination where the general expresses disdain for Sonny's article, questioning his tactics. The general leads the captain to a secret base where he has been training troops to take part in his plan. To the captain's surprise, Bond is working alongside the general in training.
Okay. I want you to start this conversation, Kyle, because I think I have a more specific thoughts on this.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm still with this show where I have been, where like it still hasn't fully clicked for me. That's kind of like what I've been just like trying to like connect to it, and it just hasn't gotten to me yet, which is also why I'm like in that vein of like quote unquote concerned where we're at right now. But I don't know. It just hasn't resonated with me just yet.
Yeah, so I there's quite a few things I want to break down here. First thing I want to break down is how we're really starting to get, after kind of the prior two episodes kind of phased out the double agent-ish stuff. this episode brought it back, and it really came in full force between him going from wanting to basically shank the journalist for stealing his girlfriend to eventually essentially using him to try and turn public opinion against the general, while also simultaneously working with his potentially imaginary friend, which that question threw me for a loop during that flashback, however you want to call it, because you would think Bond would have called it out at one point, but I'm like, I don't, which that's something I appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing I want to touch more on, and now this has been true basically across all the episodes after he was introduced in the first one, Claude. Claude is everywhere. Claude is seemingly knowing. What's cooking, Claude? You're really showing up outside of his apartment at weird times. You are working with the general and speaking subtextually at times. You are giving him tickets to a show that includes the general's daughter because he knows you're going to do something. Like, what are you cooking here, Claude? What are you cooking here? How much do you actually know?
Yeah. It, like you said, like it kind of finally gets into like the spy frame of mind and that portion of the show in this episode. But I don't know. I'm still questioning a lot of things and curious about a lot of things, and with 2 episodes left, just like wondering how things are gonna shake out.
Also, there's a few other things I want to touch on. Because I feel like we've kind of given this show the short end of the stick conversationally, but can we talk about the evolution of Bond?
Yeah, he's been the most like depth character to me in terms of just like following along with.
Friend to manic depressive to revealed to be super secret assassin to enthusiastic extra to rebellion leader and trainer.
He's been probably not probably he has been my favorite character arc, and one of the more intriguing aspects of the show to kind of just see the depth of the character and like the evolution of him, like you said. I've enjoyed his character and the actor playing Bond a lot.
And yeah, Bond is definitely. I don't necessarily want to call him the audience avatar, but he kind of feels like the most. I don't necessarily want to say naturalistic because with the timing and the pacing of this movie, it's like things are going in time I don't quite explain because he was literally in the hospital for 5 months here, and so it's kind of time is becoming a unclear agent over the course of the show, which is in my opinion a good thing and a bad thing, but that's definitely something. And because we talked about Claude earlier, I want to bring this up now, and I love the dude, and he's getting ready to chase a EGOT because he's starring on a Broadway play. Is Robert Downey Jr. a distraction?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I love Robert Downey Jr.
Yes,
like love him.
And I love what he's doing. There's a potential tonal grind going on here.
Yeah.
Where I think Claude works, but I want more Claude. I think the director works in the limited time we have him. We haven't had the Asian Studies professor back yet, but we had him in the second one, and if you watch the trailer for the next episode, which have you?
No.
Well, I'll basically just tell you it appears that he's going to show back up, and also it'll be full of training as well. But that character is a distraction. And we still have to figure out this senator.
Yeah.
Which, if I remember correctly, in the flowers that are sent to the hospital room has something to do with him.
Which, again, like, distraction to a degree, where it's like, okay, what's the point here?
Which we'll probably see the point in this next episode, but it's kind of something where I don't know if we'd have as much of an issue if we had 4 different actors playing these different roles, but also the choice is purposeful because it's trying to say something about white people in power in this time and how they're all the same.
Mm-hmm.
But as much as I'm enjoying the show, that's the part I'm grinding up on the most. So,
yeah, I agree with you. And like I said, like, we love Robert Downey Jr., but there's parts that it is like that grind of like, okay, what are we doing here now?
yeah.
I do have the AV Club, Vulture, and Daily Beast write-ups for this episode. So Tom Phillip from the AV Club gave this episode an A- grade and wrote, while the Sympathizer demonstrably gets off on repeatedly displacing us in time, the story itself remains deceptively uncluttered. It's being inside the captain's mind that wrong foots us occasionally, and All for One stakes its claim as the best episode of the season so far in merging both story and perception. Then we have Terry Nugent of Vulture gave the episode a 3 out of 5 stars and wrote, the captain did not realize the extent of the general's preparation until he arrived at the training grounds and spotted Bond leading the troops. His expression of dumbfounded disbelief is laced with betrayal, the first, as we can surmise, of 2 betrayals by his blood brothers. But is it true betrayal if the captain too was deceiving Bond the entire time?
Fair point.
And then Fletcher Peters of the Daily Beast wrote, the general has trained an entire army here in California, ready to strike Vietnam at a moment's notice. Isn't the war over? Hasn't he learned? Poor captain has more spying to do. It seems like this may never end. Josh Rosenberg of Esquire wrote, from what we've seen of the Sympathizer's timeline so far, the captain does end up back in Vietnam somehow. Now that I look back, it's possible that the series had to get a bit wacky just so the immediate seriousness hit like a light switch. There are just 2 episodes left, and the captain is already at his breaking point.
Yeah, so I think that's the review that I think best summarizes the series so far. That last one.
Mm-hmm. The Esquire one?
Yes, the one you just read.
Yeah.
Which I don't think that's a bad thing, but I feel like that best summarizes a point similar to where the 2 of us stand.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see as these last 2 come up.
And it's sometimes rare that Christian and I are on the same page on a lot of things.
Don't tempt fate, Kyle.
Look at us.
Look at us.
Who would have thought? Not me.
But okay.
That is the Sympathizer for this week. Now we hit that mutant music. It's X-Men 97. Tolerance is Extinction, Part 2. This episode was directed by Emi Emmett Yonemura, who also did episode 7, episode 5, episode 3, and then it was written by Bo DeMeo and Anthony Saletti. Apologies if I mispronounced that. Bo DeMeo obviously did a bunch.
Hakuna Matata.
What a wonderful phrase. Overall thoughts, though, before we get into the synopsis, Christian, on this episode, because there was a lot that occurred, and quite frankly, I had moments of like jaw on the ground.
So this is what I want out of this show. I still personally, again, like the first 2 episodes more. Specifically the second one, because I love that second episode so much. But this is what I want this series to be. This is just what I'm looking for, and I'm happy they're giving it.
I was flabbergasted that we got that final scene that we did. And I was like, oh, they're going there. Which, to anybody that doesn't know, that was a direct recreation of one of the pages in the comic book that happens to Wolverine. So, brilliant job by the artists. We'll get to that, obviously. But part 2 of Tolerance is Extinction. So Xavier is met with some distrust, but the X-Men focus on stopping Bastion and convincing Magneto to reverse his blackout. Magneto reestablishes his mutant haven on Asteroid M, choosing to leave Earth without power and reject Xavier's dream of mutant-human coexistence. He invites the X-Men to join him, which Rogue and Roberto, aka Sunspot, do. And the rest of the X-Men return to their former base on Miura Island to regroup before splitting into 2 teams. Cyclops' blue team goes to Asteroid M to confront Magneto, while Storm and Jean's gold team head to Bastion's hideout in the Galapagos Islands, which I'm wondering is the Philly Fanatic canon in the X-Men universe now. Storm is back, though. Her suit is badass. Forge is now in the mix, and we see that device that Forge thought of to create to protect himself from Magneto's magnetic forces on his leg. We also get Morph turning into the Hulk in this episode, which I did not. I had to rewind. I was like, where did the Hulk come from? And then I rewind and it said Morph Smash, and I was like, oh, that's fun. That's cool. So a Hulk cameo, which now we have gotten Hulk and Captain America. Are we going to get a Thor cameo and get the OG Avengers all together? Where's Tony Stark? Where's Thor?
Okay,
questions
so
the people need answering.
Well, I have a question in response to that. If he is Thor, is it possible for him to wield a weapon?
Huh.
You see my confuzzled nature about this.
That is a good question.
Let's not linger on this because
let us know in the YouTube comment section if Morph could wield Mjolnir and morph it into his hand.
Yeah.
I also, with Storm being back and then Rogue and Sunspot joining Magneto. Rogue had her green suit, which was really cool to see. Her whole phrasing of going with Magneto was pretty powerful. She was like, "You weren't on Genosha," and like when she talks to Nightcrawler, she basically like reveals to the audience watching that like everything she did while she was there, she was just blacked out because she didn't remember a fucking thing. But then we get the gold team who battles an army of Bastion-controlled Sentinels, as well as Mr. Sinister, who takes control of Cable's mind and uses him to overpower Jean. And she sends a desperate psychic message to Cyclops. And then on Asteroid M, Xavier attempts to take control of Magneto's mind, but is blocked. And then Wolverine stabs and seriously injures Magneto, who then recreates that oh-so-famous comic panel as Magneto begins ripping the adamantium metal from Wolverine's skeleton. And my, oh my, when I saw that, I said, oh, we're going here. Okay.
And that's when you know the show's no longer for kids.
Yes. My jaw was on the ground then. The fight scenes were great. The overall just like villain arc of your big three between Sinister being poked out to kind of just be a pawn in this whole game, Magneto turning back into the villain that he is, and then obviously you have Bastion with his super creepy human sentinels and everything. But man, this was a heavy episode. It was jam packed with a ton of details and obviously a lot of like great comic book lore from this bad boy, and it was so enjoyable. I mean, we have one episode left, and it's building to be an epic finale. I think you're muted. Oh, still muted.
There we go.
There we
I hate my button on this mic anyway. Yes, and again, maybe this is me just being wishful thinking, but Gambit?
It's tough. Bone on me.
Bowling me.
Yeah, that's an interesting aspect of this whole thing. Is Gambit is still dead and gone, but I do think there's going to be some funky time traveling from everything we saw in this episode for sure.
Some shenanigans.
Because we also haven't seen Bishop since what, episode 2, when he took baby Nathan.
Yeah, because he was quote according to people lost in the time stream.
Mm-hmm.
Which okay, I don't know if I should believe you or not, but you can tell us that.
I don't believe you. Also, when they said Gold Team, I was like, Gold Team rules.
Oh, one thing I do want to touch on because people brought it up. The jab at the Bryan Singer films.
When did that?
When they were giving Cable the suit.
Oh yeah. What she wanted, black leather.
Yeah.
They have done a great job throughout this entire series of like these subtle, like out of world jabs and like very funny, like zingy one-liner types throughout this entire series, which has been very fun when they happen. The fight scenes in this episode were great. Beast saying, talking about what it sounds like when one hand claps and then smack right in the face was hilarious.
Xavier telling us Magneto telling Xavier to shut up.
That was great. I've been waiting a long time to tell you this. Shut up. They've done just such a good job with this show, and I'm very intrigued to see where the final piece of this 3-part finale goes. And I think I saw earlier this week that X-Men 97 is Disney Plus's most watched original animated series of the year already.
Shocker. Well, I mean it's only been 5 months. But yeah.
Along with obviously let me see. So original series viewership, there's a chart that our pals over at Culture Crave tweeted out from Variety. The most watched original series, it's third most for the year so far, just after Percy Jackson and Echo.
I mean this respectfully, but that's not too high of a bar to clear.
Yeah, Percy Jackson and the Olympians season 1 is at 23.3%, Echo's at 11.8%, and X-Men 97 is at 6.8%. And that's still with a massive finale to come.
Yeah. Should be big, very big numbers.
Other shows in the mix for Star Wars: The Bad Batch Season 3, which would probably be your only other like original animated series that you're going toe to toe with. Renegade Nell Season 1, Ahsoka Season 1, Mando Season 3, Loki Season 2, Mandalorian Season 1, and A Real Bug's Life for the other original series viewerships this year, along with a 33% share of others. But yeah, I enjoyed this. Like I said, like the moment that the adamantium gets ripped out of Wolverine, my jaw was on the ground. You get a Hulk cameo, even though it's morph, but you still get the Hulk, which was very fun. And that was, to me, kind of the nod, like, oh, we have the IP of the Hulk back again.
Whoa. Do they, though?
Yes. His the universal ownership of the Hulk is over.
When did that happen?
Last summer.
Are you sure about that?
That's why the Ed Norton Hulk movie's on Disney Plus now.
This is universal. I'm not sure. Hulk movie rights has Marvel got them back? This is updated from there. According to an SEC. Universal Studios has agreed to distribute Marvel's film The Incredible Hulk and sequels on essentially the same terms as those on which Paramount has agreed to distribute the other films. Yeah, okay, whatever, etc. I'll just take your word for it because I don't have the patience to deal with this Google machine at midnight.
Here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they got it back to at least some degree, and that's why the Ed Norton Hulk movie is.
Yeah, I don't think they fully got it back. Even though I know there was talk around a World War Hulk film. It would have been bigger news if they got it all the way back, I would have thought.
Yeah, I forget, and then I know it's different between like the movies and like the theme park stuff. So
yeah,
yeah, because it's that's why like Namor could appear in Black Panther too, because Universal owns the rights to Namor.
Yeah,
which is an odd character for them to have, but that was just like a nod to me. Like, yeah, we can do things with the Hulk again, especially in animated because it's way easier and way cheaper. What were your overall takeaway grade from Tolerance's Extinction Part 2?
Comic book scale, I'll give it a 9. Just because I'm anticipating on giving this next episode at minimum a 9.5. So we'll see how that goes, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 9.2, so 9.1 overall from the boys for the penultimate episode of X-Men 97. And now let's get to everybody's favorite segment. It is the streaming platform Multiverse News and Notes, brought to you by our pals over at Kenwood Beer, who just released these beautiful, beautiful shirts, Christian. We got business in the front with the beautiful Kenwood Beer street sign logo, and then it's a whole big party in the back. Great stuff from our pals over at Kenwood Beer, who just announced, too, today as we record this, that they have a big old block party going on in our neck of the woods on Thursday, May 23rd at Reunion Hall in Haddon Township, New Jersey. There's going to be t-shirts, giveaways, live music, and of course, Kenny's. It's to celebrate the launch of Kenwood Original Beer in South Jersey. We're probably going to be there in some capacity, so definitely tune out. I'm going to be reaching out to our Kenny peeps to see if maybe we can do a podcast or something while we're there. But Kenwood Beer is the official beer of Underground Sports Philadelphia. It's a refreshing light beer, just 4.1% ABV, only 120 calories, and just 8 grams of carbs. Go to kenwoodbeer.com. Use the Kenny Finder to see who has Kenwood Beer on tap in the Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, New Jersey, Maryland, and Christian, the newest state for Kenny, Delaware. The Delaware connection there with Kenny's. You can also get it at your local liquor stores in those markets. Also, check out the Kenny storefront. That's where you can get that awesome t-shirt. They got Kenwood Beer hats fully stocked again. They've got the awesome pint glasses as well. KenwoodBeer.com. You got to be 21 or older to do so. And of course, please drink responsibly. Christian, the first quote here that I have is from the God of Thunder himself, Thor. Chris Hemsworth says, "It's annoying when actors who star in a Marvel film will later bash the MCU. Quote, it's like their films that are successful put me in one. Oh, mine didn't work. I'll bash them. Look, I grew up on a soap opera, and it used to bother me when actors would later talk about the show with guilt or shame. Humility goes a long way." That is via the Times.
I mean, I respect him having that point of view, but I don't care.
He also followed up with a quote that said, "One of the older actors on Home and Away said, 'We don't get paid to make the good lines sound good, but to make the bad ones work.' That stuck with me." Good quote.
Yeah.
Mark Strong has reportedly been cast in The Penguin.
Interesting. I saw that news and I found it interesting. I'm like, okay.
O'Shea Jackson Jr. reflects on losing out to the Lando Calrissian role. Quote, "I auditioned 4 times. I was like, man, I got this in the bag. When I got the call that Donald Glover got it, I deleted every Childish Gambino song I had."
I mean, there's worse people to lose out to than Childish Gambino.
But apparently his audition ultimately landed him a role in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series that was on Disney+. So ended up with a win at the end of the day, but very hilarious that he deleted everything Childish Gambino. Chris Pratt was asked which is more likely, playing Star-Lord again or joining James Gunn's DCU.
Why not both?
How about both? I think it's 100% both.
Anytime I forget about him, I always end up getting served his blooper reel from what's it, Parks and Rec?
Yeah.
And it ends up being the light switch, Kim Kardashian, which the Kim Kardashian one is elite. It is so good. And then I forget what the other one is, but it's just such a great reminder about how Chris Pratt can be legitimately funny in an improvish setting.
100%.
It's just, he got all fit and buff now, and it's Chris Pratt being the voice of Garfield and Mario and Star-Lord. And it's like, please, Chris.
I also love that I don't know if you've seen it, the TikTok filter thing that's running around with Garfield. It's like, "I know where you live." Every time it opens up on that, it is nowhere remotely close to where we live, and I just laugh every time.
I ended up coming across one on TikTok, and it was Delaware. I'm like, well, close enough.
I got the United Arab Emirates one time, and I fucking howled. I was like, you couldn't be more wrong. This one's kind of wild. Hopefully he's okay. Steve Buscemi was punched in the face during a random New York City attack. The assailant is still on the run.
Hello, my fellow owl.
Oh, my leg. As Christian mentioned earlier in the show, I believe it might have been off pod, but TV is stacked next month. Acolyte debuts on June 4th with a 2-episode premiere. That's the new Star Wars show. The Boys season 4 on June 13th. House of the Dragon season 2 on June 16th. And then The Bear season 3 on June 27th. I can't remember a month of TV that has been that back to back in a long time.
I can't remember a month of TV when it's like we're dropping 3 or 4 of the biggest shows of the year. But I will also say it is notable because the Emmy voting window ends at the end of May, and The Bear is notably in June.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know why?
So to just push it for next year?
Yes, because for some godforsaken reason, the Emmys, their eligibility window is basically June to May and not a calendar year.
Interesting.
So because The Bear would already be running for season 2, because that was one of the confusing things about this past award season, for the Emmys they were winning for season 1, but for the Golden Globes they were winning for season 2.
Interesting.
So yeah, that's a Kyle. Do you want me to make you feel old and sad for?
Oh, he stole my whole fucking flow, word for word, bar for bar. Oh
Deal with
god.
it. Chuck E. Cheese's animatronic bands will be phased out by the end of the year.
No.
The New York Times reports.
But Christian, you know what that means? There's going to be hundreds of thousands of Chuck E. Cheeses that will be selling those animatronics, which means we need to get our hands on one.
Which it also means we can make our own Five Nights at Freddy's.
Exactly. Five Nights at Chucky's. Let's ride.
MTV has canceled the MTV Movie and TV Awards for 2024.
Wow.
Strange. Don't know what happened there.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Guy Ritchie has another film in the works titled Wife and Dog that doubles down on the British upper class. It will shoot in October with an A-list cast in negotiations. Listen, Guy, just keep making British stuff. That's all I want for you. Don't make The Covenant, which is you taking Jake Gyllenhaal and making a war film. That's not that. That's fine. Just be so British. Be like Edgar Wright and like listen. Edgar Wright made Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, which is Canadian, and Baby Driver, which is American, and those are better than most of Guy Ritchie's films, in my opinion. But he and when Edgar Wright does a film set in the UK, and when Guy Ritchie does a UK film, it is so British. I love it.
Wife and Dog. Where can I sign up for that?
Kyle, I don't know. Why don't you go down to your local bar? Hey-o.
John Watts gives advice to whoever is directing Spider-Man 4 via Collider. Quote, it doesn't look good when someone is just swinging on a rope. You think you're going to go in there. You're like, we're going to do it all practical. It's boring. It looks dumb.
I don't know. How did Sam Raimi do it?
George Miller was asked if he would direct a potential Thor 5. Quote, I would work with Chris Hemsworth on anything. I really would. He's a wonderful actor. He's got the full range of all the skills.
Speaking of Hemsworth, can we talk about the Anya Taylor-Joy thing that has been going around the internet? Do you know about this?
I don't believe I do.
Okay, so she was talking with Kyle Buchanan, who I believe is with the New York Times. He wrote a book about Mad Max Fury Road, which is one of the most troubled productions in Hollywood history, called Blood, Sweat, and Chrome.
Mm-hmm.
And famously on that set, Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy wanted to kill each other. And while they were stuck filming in the middle of the desert, and Buchanan asked on Anya Taylor-Joy, basically, if she asked her like how it was, and she was saying like how she felt so alone out there, and he wanted her to kind of elaborate, and she's just like, I can't talk about it. Ask me in 20 years, which some people are trying to say like, oh my god, George Miller's a bad guy, and it's like, no, the thing with making a Mad Max movie is the only person who knows what's going on in the making of that movie is George Miller himself, and George Miller is making up some of it along the way. And so it's not your typical filming experience. You're filming a grueling schedule in the middle of the desert, and you just want to off yourself. Like it's more of the production itself than the people around, I think, in this case.
Mm-hmm.
And if you read through the thing about how she's like, just like, they're quiet, asked to just move on because she can't say, and then is like, ask me in 20 years, like, holy fuck, man, how bad was that shit?
The Fantastic Four starts filming at the end of July.
Speaking of Fantastic Four, let's talk about the two wonderful castings. We'll first talk about the less significant one, which is John Malkovich.
Unknown role.
No, but more importantly, all us film nerds rejoice. Ralph Ineson is Galactus. I am a happy man.
It's gonna be fun. I think it's great casting, and I'm excited to see this cast for the fan. I think this is the overall best cast Fantastic Four lineup we've had in any iteration of this movie. So I'm excited to see them all work together.
How dare you besmirch Michael B. Jordan?
I'm sorry, Michael B. I'm sorry, Miles Teller. Sorry, Chris.
But so I just have a quick talk about Ralph in Ralph Innocent. So he appeared on the British version of The Office, and for the better part of the last, let's just say, decade and a half, he's kind of been a character actor that shows up in films of various types. So, for example, in the two Deathly Hallows films, he was Amicus Caro. He shows up in Great Expectations. He plays the father. He plays the father in Robert Eggers' The Wish. He shows up in The Last Jedi. He shows up in Ready Player One. He shows up in The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. He was in The Green Knight. He was in The Tragedy of Macbeth. He was in The Northman. He was in The Creator. He was in The Pope's Exorcist. He was in The First Omen. And he was in Nosferatu, which comes out on Christmas. And he's in, I believe this is Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein movie. Yeah, so like he's a very interesting actor with a very extremely distinct voice. Like if you've heard his voice, you will know him from something. So that's definitely an exciting choice.
And I think that goes into casting someone as Galactus. They had to have a voice, and I think they did a great job with the selection there. The Phantom Menace is now the most watched Star Wars film ever on Disney Plus.
Congrats. Let's go pod racing.
What a theater re-release will do for a film. Sigourney Weaver is reportedly in talks to
Sigourney.
Sorry, it's midnight. Apologies.
Yeah.
In talks to join the Mandalorian and Grogu, according to the Insnider.
Let her cash those checks. She is cashing those Avatar checks. Let her cash the Star Wars checks. Like, be my guest girl.
I don't know if you've seen this trend running around since it was a report, but EA CEO says they're looking at putting ads in their video games.
I saw it. I'm not about to wage into this.
I'm
not about to throw something against the wall.
The Call of Duty clip of like the final kill and it just cutting to the Burger King commercial was fucking hilarious. A new Godzilla and Kong movie's in the works. Dave Callahan will write it. His previous work includes Across the Spider-Verse, Shang-Chi, Mortal Kombat, and Godzilla.
I mean, they make money. Smiles. So, Cal, do you want to unpack how they're making another Lord of the Rings film?
Another what film?
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, why?
For the money.
Can we also unpack, according to the Hollywood Reporter, that Planet of the Apes writers and producers have plans for the franchise to go to 9 films?
Well, okay, hold on. In defense of this franchise, and to be clear, that I still have to catch the most recent one, but they're currently at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They're currently at 10 films. Are they talking about the new post 2011 slate? I mean, 9 films may be a little much for that, but if they're done with this level of look and quality, I'm not opposed to 6. Because here's how you want to fundamentally evaluate this. If you look at the original Apes set, you have the first one, 1968, just an all-time movie. I personally think a perfect movie. And then it gets mired in its own weirdness. The Rupert Wyatt and Reeves trilogy sets up a world and tells a great, like, it's truly one of the better modern trilogies. And now we get this film, which is set 300 years after that. And so realistically, how they could end this eventual set of films is basically ending where the first Planet of the Apes starts.
Sure. I have no interest in the Planet of the Apes movies. They just do nothing for me.
Shame on you.
I gotta set an over-under for before this show comes out. How many more times are we gonna get series name changes for the Agatha series? Because the Agatha series has been retitled again to Agatha, the Lying Witch with Great Wardrobe, releasing later this year on Disney Plus. And Marvel has now removed the post for the new Agatha logo. To which somebody at Harrison J. Noir on Twitter said fixed it and made it say Agatha, the lying bitch with great wardrobe. How many more title changes are we gonna get for this show?
What are you saying what are you saying the line at?
We've had 4 so far? I'm gonna say we get 2 more, which somebody brings up a great point at Harv with 2 V's on Twitter. What if all these title changes are just the episode names and the show is just called Agatha? It's a good point.
That would be amazingly fun, weird, and bait.
Yes. That would be like next level Galaxy Brain. I don't know if they would be doing that, but that would be hilarious and would absolutely love for that to be the case. More Empire Magazine. We also got the dog's name that's portraying Dogpool in Deadpool and Wolverine, named Peggy, and she was voted Britain's ugliest dog. And Ryan Reynolds said, I was a huge proponent for her because she feels like the animal manifestation of Wade Wilson.
We got our first poster for Night Bitch.
Yeah, I saw that. See Rob McElhaney's quote tweet?
No. What did I say?
I must have missed this casting call.
Where's my mind going with this? Rest in peace, Roger Corman, one of the defining producers of an era of Hollywood who helped launch a bunch of careers. Sad to see him go, but he was 98.
That's a damn good life right there.
Yeah.
Frank Grillo will star as Rick Flag Sr. in Peacemaker Season 2. Can't wait. Frank Grillo voiced him in the animated series that was like the first launch of James Gunn's DCU. So very excited for that in live action. We got our first behind-the-scenes look, or a new behind-the-scenes look at House of the Dragon Season 2. Can't wait for that. What else do I have here? Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman were asked, Christian and I talked about this before the show, but for the people, if Deadpool and Wolverine will return for future MCU projects. Ryan Reynolds said, I'm very nervous talking to you, and Hugh Jackman followed up saying, I've never been so scared of what's coming out of my mouth. Perfect quotes to deliver. Ted has been renewed for Season 2 at Peacock.
Good for them.
Batman Cape Crusader premieres August 1st on Prime Video. Calling me intrigued.
It's supposedly set in like the 1940s, so we'll probably talk about it.
We got a new trailer for A Quiet Place Day 1.
I'm indifferent on that franchise, in all honesty.
Looking here. Oh, we didn't get a chance to talk about this because it happened after we've recorded, but Disney and Warner Brothers are teaming up to start a new streaming bundle that combines Disney Plus, Hulu, and Max, releasing this summer in the U.S.
Cable Plus, everybody.
Welcome back, Cable.
We didn't miss you.
I just don't. It's a weird mashup. I get it's a bundle. It's not like the interfaces are combining, but
so I both think this is somewhat weird and not weird at all. In terms of Hulu and Max are kind of the two defining platforms for prestige TV at this given moment. You have the Disney and the Warner Brothers back catalogs. You cater to kids and to adults.
Mm-hmm.
And you get some of the biggest shows on TV, biggest shows on streaming, and you get, again, the back catalog of HBO. And so I think they complement each other well. It's just weird to have these two major companies combine to bundle this. So it's I don't see a content issue as much as just it's weird that it's these two doing it.
Yeah. Looking here if there's anything else that I'm missing before we put a bow on this episode. Happy 80th birthday to George Lucas. He doesn't look a day over 60.
Having fun, George?
Anything else here? Also, this past week, 38th birthday of the Batman, Robert Pattinson.
Enjoying fatherhood?
More than likely. And then to make everybody that's a Game of Thrones fan feel old, 5 years ago this week, Daenerys burned down King's Landing in Season 8, Episode 5, The Bells. So there you have it. Make sure you guys are following us on the socials at StreamerSZN on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and on TikTok at StreamerSZN Pod. Follow Christian at the Wiz_PHI. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast feed on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts in audio form. Leave a 5-star rating and review. It goes a long way for helping the show continue to grow. And, of course, subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. That's where you get full video episodes of this show every week, full video episodes of every show on our network, clips, shorts, live streams, original video content is all on our YouTube channel. Get your merch at phiapparel.co. Use code Underground for 10% off your order. This has been another edition of StreamerSZN, the exclusive streaming platform, TV and movie podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. For Christian, I'm KB. We're about to go sympathize with some more mutants. Until then, we're getting the heck up out of here, and we'll see you guys next time.